let's go back in time for a second. All right. And I want you to sit back and I want you to really think about this because I need you to really dig deep into yourself because what I'm about to ask you is something that you have to answer for yourself. So I need you to sit back. I need you to tune everything out and I need you to ponder and think. I need you to think real hard because I want you to think about when you first got into whatever space you're in, if it's podcasting, if it's digital creation, content creation. I need you to think about that real hard and think, am I still grinding like when I started? See, for me, it's, am I still grinding like it's 2015? Like, am I still manually writing emails, doing the manual follow-up with the leads, when people tap in with you on Instagram and tap in with you on X and all of these other platforms? Am I still doing this manually? I need you to ask yourself that. Are you still manually building out your offers, doing every single thing by hand like you got a team of 10? Well, guess what? You don't. You don't need to. And neither do I. Because there's a major shift and a major difference that is taking place, but everybody seems to be a tad bit afraid of adapting to it. See, because if you figured out what I figured out, and what I figured out was how to think with AI and not just be a user, not just writing out the prompts, not just basically saying, do this and leave it there and get the generic answers that it can possibly give you. And see, once that one shift took place, it changed everything about how I run my podcast business. See, most people treat AI like it's a search engine, like you're on Google. And I know you probably heard this before because some people will say, hey, if I want to know something, if I want to ask AI something, I'll just ask it like, hey, Google. That's how most people treat AI, like it's a search engine. Hey, Chrome. Hey, Safari. Hey, Siri. They just be asking random questions, hoping for gold. That's not a strategy. That's what we call digital procrastination dressed up in, productive clothing. And nobody wants to talk about it. Why? Because people are afraid of it. I literally have been watching like some of the latest news reports, some of the latest interviews that are going on, and people are saying they're scared of AI because AI can change how people maneuver. And they're afraid that AI is going to take jobs. Here's what you fail to realize. AI cannot change your job. It cannot take your job away. Can it do your job better? Yes, but here's where you fall short. You have to physically impromptu commands. It's like going back to when computers first came out. A lot of people won't remember this, and a lot of you millennials who are out there need to listen to this because you might want to understand this. It's like when when computers first came out, you had to enter commands for it to work. This is exactly what AI is. Now, here's the truth. Nobody's saying out loud, AI isn't going to replace you. I just said that, right? Yeah, but what you don't understand is the coaches, the consultants, and the podcasters who know how to use it, they're the ones who are about to eat like they've never eaten before. There's no more snacking. There's no more dinner dates and your lunchtime breaks. These are the folk like myself who are about to take the world by storm because AI is gradually turning 50-year-olds and 65-year-olds into multimillionaires over time. Now, if you're smart, you'll listen to what I'm about to say because I'm about to ask you this. Give me 20 minutes and I'll show you exactly how I use AI to run podcasts for profits and how you can apply the same framework in your business strategy today. That's only if you want to get with it, man. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Podcast for Profit, the show where podcasters become CEOs. I'm your host, Tony Porter, and every week I'm giving you the strategy, systems, and game you need to grow your audience, monetize your message, and build a 7-figure podcast business. No fluff, no cap, just real results. Let's get into it.
Hey, yo, welcome back to Podcast for Profits, the show where we stop trading time for likes and start turning those conversations into currency. Now, I'm your host, Mr. Anthony Porter, your podcast monetization strategist and business host. Today, we're diving into what I consider to be the game changer. And I get asked this consistently because people ask me, how do I pump out so much content consistently? And then they ask me, well, how do you run your podcast? How do you run your podcast business consistently? and how I actually run my business in 2026 is with AI. Now, this is not theoretical stuff, and this is definitely not that type bro hype. We're going to talk about the real systems, the real practical systems. We're going to talk about using it right now to produce content, close clients, build products, and scale your brand without limitations. And with what I call a lean team, because right now it's just me. But I have a clear strategy, and I want you to understand that you could have that clear strategy just as well. Now, before we start, we got to get into some real talk, because most people don't understand. If you are a coach, consultant, service provider, podcaster who's tired of podcasting into the void and ready to start turning your clients into real revenue, pay attention, because the strategies we are breaking down today, they're not theories, man. They are the exact frameworks that I use to help some of my clients, some of my friends. And if you pay attention, I say some because I've attempted to help a lot of people, and a lot of people say they're going to do it on their own, and then 3 to 6 weeks later, they've just totally given up. But here's what a lot of people don't understand. If you pay attention to nowadays, the exact strategies that I'm talking about are being used by the top 1% of the podcasters. The game plan is revenue, correct? The game plan in your business, no matter what you're doing, is generating revenue. But if you have a high overhead, how much money do you generate? How much revenue do you generate? So you have to fix that problem. And it's not actually a problem because you're not taking away a job. You're starting out. You don't want to reach the high overhead. So what you want to do is you want to be able to build out like you have an entire team for your business, especially if it's podcasting, and be successful. Run it on autopilot, but still be able to, you might have 2 or 3 good people, but you don't want to have 25 to 30 and you just starting out. That's preposterous. But here is what we're going to talk about today. Number 1, we are going to talk about why people are using AI wrong and what to do instead. Number 2, the 3 core areas where AI should be working in your business right now, today. We're also going to talk about how to build what I call your AI business OS. This is your personal operating system. So we got to get into that. We got to talk about the mindset shift that separates AI users from AI operators. Did you just notice what I said? AI users versus the AI operator. And then we need to talk about the 3 moves you can make in the next 20 minutes to start running smarter. So without no further ado, let's jump into this, man. Grab you a pen, grab you a piece of paper, get you some water, because this episode right here is brought to you by who else? None other than the Podcast for Profits. That is I. What we want you to do is we want you to subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a review. And once you subscribe to the podcast, tell a friend to tell another friend so we can continue to build this. You can follow us on IG. It gets a little tricky with Facebook. So the podcast itself is Podcast for Profits, but you can follow me, and I'm going to leave everything down in the description below, the show notes. Follow me at I am Anthony Porter Official. And I know somebody's going to look at that and be like, man, he spelled official wrong. No, I didn't. I did it on purpose. Certain aspects or assets for my business, I don't have to worry about nothing else. So, but we need to get into this podcast a little bit more. There's no ranting. You check out the rants report every day on IG, because that's what we do. So let's talk about number 1. Why most people are using AI wrong and what it is costing you in your business. Lock in. If you've been playing around with ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or Manus or any one of those, Gemini, any one of these specific AI tools, and you feel like you're not getting the real results from it, you're not broken and it's not broken. Trust me. I felt that way. I was like, how am I doing this? This doesn't seem right. You just haven't been taught to use it in your own business. Let me tell you what I see all day long on the internet. And then I want to give a shout out to a specific individual who brought this it's 2 individuals that brought it to my attention how wrong I was using AI. And so here's what I see on the internet all day. People are using AI to write cute captions. They're using it to generate some random content ideas and maybe rewrite a paragraph that they didn't like. And then they close the tab and go back to their grind like nothing changed. First off, shout out to Nikki Saunders. She was one of the first people that I started paying attention to with AI when she was talking about ChatGPT. So I got into Nikki's Mighty Networks channel, and believe it or not, taught me a ton. But then I just happened to be scrolling across Nehemiah Davis's channel. He's one of the Circle of CEOs. And I came across another lady named Alicia Little. Now, Alicia Little is the queen of AI, and she's definitely that. So when I start paying attention to how I was using AI wrong, and she started teaching you how to have AI ghostwrite for you and teaching you how to get AI to be you, I paid attention. So now when I script out things, I come up with content ideas, it's not scripted from what it knows. It's doing a supercharged version of everything that I want it to do. So it's writing out for me. It's writing out as if I'm saying this. It's talking to you in my format. So when I started seeing how people was using this, and I've seen how them two young ladies was showing you how, I got to thinking, that's like you owning a Lamborghini and you driving it to Publix to go grocery shopping once a week. No, that's not the way this thing works. You can't have the Lamborghini to go grocery shopping. That's what the 86 Chevy Celebrity is for. The Lamborghini, that's the flex. That's your flex. Most people don't want to talk about flex. That's your flex. All right, so we're talking about the flex right now. Okay, so here's where I was not too long ago. See, I was building everything myself, and it was taking a lot of time. Episode outlines, email sequences, social media content, follow-up scripts, lead magnets, all of it. And it was all good. Just a week ago, it was all good at the time. But what was making me be maxed out? I hit the ceiling where I literally, couldn't produce no more because I was just mentally drained. See, when I got into podcasting due to like people like Pat Flynn. And then I started studying people like David Sands, and I got to realizing that they're pumping out content. Now, you can have some of the best copywriters in the world, and that's their job. But for you to be starting out, and so here's what we want to make sure we get straight. When you're starting out, you don't have $10,000 to hire a copywriter unless you're a ball player or, in the NBA, the pros, or you got a sponsorship or anything like that. You don't have 10K. AI is here to help you get to that point. But again, I was using AI wrong. My first images was generic as all outdoors. My first script, my first pieces of content was terrible. Then I stopped asking AI to just write stuff for me, and I started asking it to think like me. See, I'd give it context. I gave it my brand voice. I gave it my audience-specific pain points. I gave it my structure, my alpha structure, and the transformation that I was promising. And then I'd use it as a thinking partner and not just as a ghostwriter. See, most people take it and use it as a thinking partner. I use it as both. The talk show host on the late night show, Stephen Colbert, don't want it to talk like it. I want it to be me. So I trained AI to do exactly that. I trained it to speak for me. And that's when everything changed. I had to make the change. And see, then I realized the mistake is using AI as a tool. That's what made me change to using it as a system. Because I was using it just as a tool. You know how you see there's people who are just popping up out of nowhere. I mean, they pop it up out of nowhere. And what they're saying is here's my tool stack. This is what I use. They tell you what they use. They just don't tell you how they use it. They don't. They really don't. See, a tool is reactive. You pick it up when you need it. A system is proactive. It runs whether you're paying attention to it or not. When you build your AI into a system, into your content creation, your lead follow-up system, you're off of development. You stop working in your business and start running your business. So that's what has happened for a lot of people. And a lot of people just don't understand that this is where you need to be at. You need to be in these type of situations. So what I have done is I decided to ask you to follow me so you can continue to get these tips and these tricks, because the tricks are more trickier than tactics, because you can get the tips and the tactics, but if you don't understand the tricks to make it talk to you the way that you want it to talk to you, you're just going to be losing out. So just follow me on all of my channels that'll be down below, and you can get that information in one way or another, some shape or form. But knowing you're using it wrong is just the first step. Now, in the next minute, I'm going to break down 3 exact areas where AI should be running right now, and most of you aren't even touching 2 of them. So let's get ready to get into that, because you will be amazed at what is about to take place. See, when I applied the shift from tool to system, my content output, it kind of tripled. My follow-up response rate went up. And of course, I started building digital products in days instead of months. And that's a living fact. Some take minutes, some take days, some take weeks. Used to be months. You would have to plan out a system, a content course, you plan it out 6 months prior, and then turn around, all your content, get it in there, and then you have to do it another 6 months when you want to do another course. Just losing a ton of just valuable time and money. And so when I started using my system, I started becoming what I call available more. And I was able to do other stuff outside of just working in. I became a controller, like I'm running my system. So that's where we're at, right? All right, so let's talk about the 3 core areas where you should be working your AI into your business. Here's what you got to do. Here's what I want you to understand. AI isn't just one thing. It's not just write emails. If you are the only one using it for content, you're leaving a lot of money and time on the table. 2 things none of us can afford to waste at any given time. Not in this era, not in this economy. So that's what you got to understand. We don't want to leave no money on the table. We don't want to leave time on the table. We want all our time, all right? So when I started mapping out my businesses, specifically my podcast, where my time was going, where my bottlenecks were, where my clients fell off, I realized there were 3 zones that were draining me the most. There was 3 simple habits that I was doing that was just killing me, all right? And those 3 were content creation, content acquisition, and product development. See, you want to attract, you want to convert, and then you want to ascend. I learned this particular system from watching Taki Moore. See, I'm a one-man content machine with a growing team of 2, me, myself. When I add the 3rd person, it will be I. Because right now, Claude is doing everything that I needed to do. But see, when I was growing up in the early days, I relied on the whole system. But see, Louisville didn't teach me to wait on resources. It taught me to be resourceful. When you grow up in your neighborhood, and when I'm talking about the hood that I'm from, you had to think quick on your feet, because you had stupid friends growing up that did stupid things. Like, you could be walking down the street and y'all just be sitting there chilling, and you got that one knucklehead that decides he gonna pick up a handful of apples, because we used to have an apple tree behind my buddy's house, and we'd be walking through the alley, he'd grab an apple. You didn't realize he was grabbing it because everybody was sitting there snapping on each other. And then all of a sudden, you walking down the street, and every city has different names for the transportation system. So most people call theirs Metro. We called ours TARC, because it's Transit Authority of River City. This fool decided he gonna start throwing apples at the TARC. And it just so happens that one day, on one of the older tarts, like before they really was like, well, I think we was probably about 10 or 11. He decided he gonna throw one and the window was open and it hit a guy in the face. All of a sudden the bus stopped, dude jumps off the bus and we broke and split like ants being chased by bug spray. Now, me being the biggest guy, he thought he could catch up with me. I'm resourceful. I knew every animal in the neighborhood. I knew every dog. I'd slide back, give him a little treat, pet him on the head. So when I hopped the fence, they ain't bother me. They just run up and sniff me. When he tried to hop that fence, he became dog lunch. But then I was like, who? Then we realized who it was. We catch up with him and he's sitting up laughing. Well, we sure had fun today. Nah, boy, we ran for our lives. But what we had to figure out is how to be resourceful. What you have to figure out what this is how you're going to use AI to be resourceful and multiplier in your business. And here's what I built out. Dealing with that, thinking back on that, when I started thinking back on that, I had to think about the areas that I dealt with. As I started building out my podcast over the last 3.5 years, because this is the newest one, I had to think, what are the 3 zones that I need to deal with? I needed a content engine. This is the most obvious one because most people still aren't doing it right. Your AI content system should start with your original ideas and your voice. Did you hear what I said? Let me say that for the ones in the back, all the way in the back. You. Original ideas and your voice. Then use AI to expand, format, repurpose, and distribute. See, the podcast is scripted. I look at the notes, look at the outline. But when I'm delivering from me, but this is my workflow and this is how I use it. All right. So I record my content or I use a voice note for a raw idea. I could be rolling down the street thinking, I need like earlier, thinking about my rants. Got a couple rants I want to do. One came up, I'm going to talk about it. All right. But I had to hurry up and jot it down. I had no pen. Let me put this in the phone. And there it is. And then I just wanted to make sure that I had the context and I gave it a quick 60 seconds, right? Sometimes you can use it for bullet points. And then I feed that into my AI prompt system with my brand voice document attached. But here's the thing. If you are using one of the top AI tools right now, that brand document that you have, you could go inside by pressing the profile picture and go inside and you can install that brand document so you never have to do that again. That's a quick pro tip that I wanted to give you. It's a search section in there that you wanted to remember. You just put it in there and hit save and it remembers everything about you. So then when they start writing for you, it automatically remembers who you are, your brand voice, how you talk, because it has if you've done the podcast and you got your transcript, it'll basically print out your transcript, you add it into a Google Doc and paste it inside of either ChatGPT, Google, Claude, Gemini, Manus, anyone that you use. And it speaks like you, but not for you. That's what I want to say. All right. So once you have that, you got your prompt in, the documents attached, and it produces a full episode outline, a carousel structure, 3 real hooks, and an email subject line for all of the raw work that you've got going. The key is I have a trained prompt, like I said, a document that tells the AI who I am, who I serve, my voice, what my voice sounds like, and of course the outcome and the content that I'm driving towards. The document is my secret weapon. Without this, AI gives me generic responses. With it, it gives me who it is, your boy, Mr. Tony Porter, host of Podcast for Profits. Now, zone 2 is my client acquisition and follow-up sequence. This is the one nobody talks about enough. See, this is your DMs, your email follow-ups, your discovery call prep, your objective handling of scripts. All of that can be handled by AI in layers. I use AI to draft personal follow-up messages based on where a lead is in my pipeline. I build out my FAQ responses. So I'm not retyping the same answers 20 times a day, because sometimes you can get caught up doing that. I prep my discovery calls. I give it, the prospect's information, and it generates the 5 questions most likely to open up a real conversation. And then I create a nurture sequence for my go high level responses that feel personal, not automated. Okay. And this is where AI starts paying for itself, because every client you don't follow up with is a client you just gave to somebody else. And then zone 3 is my product development. And this is why I really started thriving on this. I generally would say this. When I started making this move, it completely changed the speed of the game for me. See, I used to, spend weeks building out digital products, online scripts, slide workbooks, sales pages, email sequences. Man, it took me weeks and weeks and weeks to do all of this. Now I build a product skeleton in a day. I just give AI my alpha, premise. I give it the transformation, what I'm trying to deliver, my audience, primary objective, the format that I want it to be in, and it builds a model outline, lesson description, the workbook prompts. Then I add my voice to it, my expertise on top of that. And guess what? I have now generated the Podcasters Accelerator, the Trial Reels Mastery, which is called the Reach Reset, the AI playbook for podcasters. I built all of this with Claude, but I double teamed it because I used ChatGPT to come up with some of the sequences. And then I turned around and inputted it in the Claude. And boy, when I did that, I took off like the rocket ship going into space. Now, if you want to see the actual prompts I use for product development in the you got to do something for me. Just got to follow me, because I talk about them throughout a lot of my social media. And that's free to join. Just follow me. That's all I ask you to do. Follow me over on Anthony Porter Official. Catch me over on LinkedIn at Anthony Porter Official, Twitter, Threads, all of that. Now, knowing the 3 zones in this map, yeah, you pretty much get to that point. But knowing how to operate them inside those zones, that's the territory. A lot of people don't understand the move that has just been made. And that's what Pillar 3 is all about. Building out your AI business OS. Once my clients were spending 12 to 15 hours a week creating content alone. But after building out the 2-zone AI system, just the content and the follow-up itself turned out to be more than what they was expecting. It wasn't magic. It became a system. All right. It became a system. Now, how to build your own AI business OS. This is where you become the AI business operator that you need to be. See, because in OS, the operating system, your phone has one. Your laptop has one. Most of y'all use Google, Chrome, or Safari, or Windows Explorer. And in 2026, if your business doesn't have one built around AI, you're running slower than those old computers that are sitting in the warehouse somewhere. See, I grew up watching the old heads in my neighborhood work these double shifts. They had side hustles. They was grinding. It's nothing like seeing that mechanic down the street work on your car, put brakes on your car with a cigarette and the ash hanging down. And you like, bruh, how are you doing that? But they was grinding because they had to, not because they didn't have a system. And I promised myself earlier, I ain't working like that. I was going to work smarter, not because I was lazy, because I was trying to build something. And when I started to build it, it became clearer to me every single day. Building my AI business OS was me finally living that dream out. Now, there's 4 components of my AI business system, and you need to have these same 4 components in yours. And we talked about it earlier, so write it down. Number 1, you need to have a brand voice document. This is the foundation. Before AI can sound like you, it has to know you. Create a document, 1-page minimum, that answers these particular questions. Who I am. That's your origin story, 3 to 5 sentences. Who do I serve and what is their number one pain? What's my brand voice? And give examples of how you talk. If you talk like yo, 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 write that down. And what is my signature frameworks and offers? Mine is magnetic messaging. That's one of my signature frameworks. What do I never say? Those are the things that you need to do. You need to write that down. You feed that into your AI session every time. See, it's non-negotiable. But again, you can also stick it in AI and it's going to remember that. If you pay for Claude and you got co-work and you have this AI tool, yeah, say less. Then the number two component that you need to have a prompt library. A prompt library is a saved collection of your best performing prompts. All right. Organized by use case. Mine are organized into content prompts, which is my episode outlines, carousels, reels, emails. Business prompts, offer development, sales pages, pipelines, stages, and all of that. Client prompts, this is where I get one of my discovery calls, which I call triage calls. My objective handling and my DM responses. And then there are my strategy prompts, my quarterly planning, competitive analyzation, and funnel review. You don't start from scratch every time. You pull from a library, drop it into the context, and get the outputs in minutes. And then you need to make sure that prompt number 3, you have a workflow trigger. A workflow trigger is a decision about when AI enters the process. See, every time you record a new episode, AI expands the outline into a full show notes. Okay? You should have 5 social media posts, an email deliverance. Every time I get a new lead, AI drafts a personal first touch message based on how they found me. Every time I launch a new product, AI builds out an email sequence skeleton and a frequently asked question document. You automate at this point. So AI is always ready when you're needing it. Component number 4, the review layer. Here's the part that people skip. I skipped it at first until I had to go back and got taught was, hey man, you might want to go back and review some things. And it's the part that protects your brand. AI first, AI is smart, but AI is not me. AI is not Tony and AI is not you. Every piece of AI content that goes through review or goes through a review layer before it goes live makes you look like you a genius. Does it sound like me or does it sound like the robot? Does the content connect with my audience? It's real pain. Does it drive towards a clear outcome? Once you run it through that right there, the review layer takes 5 minutes. It separates AI generated content that feels hollow from AI assisted content that feels real. If you're going to be building out a full business OS template for your podcasting, man, listen, continue to follow me. I'm going to leave the links in the description below. That way you will know exactly how to build out some of these things. Your OS system, all of that, all right? So we got that under control. Now, before I give you the action steps, the mindset needs to come into play. And I need to drop this for you because the strategy only works if you're thinking the right way. And this is where we drop the mic. When you're running your business with AIOS, you stop reacting to your business and start leading it. That's the real shift from operator to owner, excuse me. See, AI doesn't replace the expert. It amplifies one. So if you're waiting until you know more, have more, or feel more ready, you're behind the 8 ball already, man. People are starting messy and building smarter. That's what they're doing. And that's what you need to do. Okay? Start messy, review it, and build it out the right way. All right, we covered a lot today. And if you've been taking notes, you already have the roadmap. But if there's something that you need to know more about the roadmap, there's only one way you can actually do that. Follow. It starts with following me on social media. at Anthony Porter Official. And then it starts with you grabbing the client generating podcast blueprint. It also starts with you grabbing the conversation, the currency checklist. All of these descriptions will be in the show notes below. These are the documents, the foundations to exactly where you are leaking revenue in your podcast. This is the foundation that I've been giving to my friends and my clients, my students, on how to generate clients 3 to 5 times a month without having to spend a ton of bread, because a lot of people want to spend bread that they don't have, and that's where you lose out. And that's about it, man. We're going to keep it a buck. That's about it. I just want to say thank you, because here's the thing. We're going to talk about how to build a business on Instagram. That's what's next. How to build an actual business selling digital products on Instagram. That's going to be in the next episode. All right. And if you seriously want to know about that, this is where we're going to get into a series, because you're going to want to learn how to build a business on Instagram selling digital products. This is to help you monetize. But I'm also going to get into some of you have to follow me. You have to follow me on those social media platforms, because guess what? This is where we get into the fact of teaching you or showing you some of the tools and why some of these tools are needed to elevate you as you move forward. If you're serious about that, follow us. Follow us on those platforms that will be down in the description below. And that's all I have for you today, man. I thank you for stopping by. We are seriously super stoked. Episode 83, 84, 83, 84, 83. We're getting close to 100. When we get close to 100, we might do a giveaway. I think that's what I want to do. I want to seriously do a giveaway. All right. So we're going to figure it out, and we're going to go from there. But I appreciate you stopping by. Until next time, keep grinding, keep building. Do this one step at a time, and I'll see you in the next episode. Don't forget, the next episode we are going to be talking about building a digital product business with Instagram. You'll know the title won't say that, but it's going to be what this is going to be about, man. So until next time, man, I'm going to see y'all when I see y'all, man. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Podcast for Profit. If you got value today, share this episode with a creator who's ready to level up. And make sure you hit follow so you never miss the moves we're making. If you're serious about turning your podcast into a business, tap the link in the show notes to join the Solo Empire Network and get the tools, coaching, and community you need. I'll see you in the next